Hi, it's Mike here. So this video is about the Fibonacci sequence found in much of the design of life and also in the laws of the universe. It's fascinating, the Fibonacci sequence. Well, could this simply have evolved by random chance mutations? Well, let's have a look at some of the evidence.
The Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers, in which each successive number is obtained by adding up the two numbers before it. If we create squares using Fibonacci numbers, and place them adjacent to each other, we get the famous Fibonacci spiral. Incredibly, this spiral growth pattern occurs over and over again in the universe around us. Take for example the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 34 and 21. The sequence of Fibonacci. The pine cone creates the same spiral based on the sequence. As do ocean waves, shells, seahorses, hurricanes, and even the spiral galaxies above us.
So the Fibonacci sequence is in petals on flowers. So there we've got 3 petals, 5, 8, 13, 21 petals, and it's in much of the petals in our flowers all over the world. And we can see it in many, it's not in all of them, but it's in many of the plants that we see. And it goes on and on and on. It's just incredible. There are plants that have 6 petals and some that have 7 petals, but the majority of them follow the Fibonacci sequence. So there's the sunflower with 34 and 21 spirals. And as I said, it's in many of the petals. And it's, just incredible that we have all this beauty, these colours and this symmetry. So there we've got, you can see the symmetry in the petals. Well, that one there is in the Fibonacci sequence, and so is that one, 5 and 8. But the other two are not. They're 6 and 6. But the symmetry is amazing. Flower stems, leaves and petals. So we can see the Fibonacci sequence in the stems and the leaves. And we can even see the way it spirals when the leaf grows. It goes in a sequence, spirals around. So you see there 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes round in a spiral. So it's incredible design. And it all comes from the information in the DNA. Look at the beautiful colours on those petals. That is also comes from the information in the DNA of the plant. Now look at that one there. This has got the Fibonacci numbers in it. So at the very top you can see 3 stamens, and then you can see 5, then you can see 8 petals, and then you see 55 of the white, purple, white and blue. What's incredible about this to me is the actual colours, design and the absolute complexity in the symmetry and the Fibonacci sequence. So to me, the complex, unique, coded information in the DNA, and if you think about coded information, information can only come from a mind. And it's far more complex than our coded information in the binary code. So the DNA information, which is unique to every plant, creates the beauty of each individual plant. And DNA is 4-dimensional in its complexity. And I've done a video on DNA which explains this 4-dimensional complexity. It's worth looking at. So this is Fibonacci flowers at Mel Bick's Garden Centre in Solihull. I love going to garden centres and looking at all the flowers, or National Trust gardens. I just love looking at plants because I see God's design in all of it. The complexity. There's no way that this evolved by chance. We even see it in succulents. Lots and lots of succulents have all this absolutely amazing spirals from the Fibonacci sequence. And you look at the complexity of that and you think, well, how could that evolve? There's no way it could evolve. It had to be designed. In Genesis 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's the first verse in the Bible. And then it says at verse 11, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. Now, if you Google how did or do seeds evolve, you will not find any logical answers. You can even go to any evolutionary scientific papers, and all you will find is that there is no empirical, observed and tested evolutionary evidences for the plant tree origins. All you will get is Evo gobbledygook, which is, like scientific jargon, but it doesn't actually mean anything. You just need to go to these papers and have a look. They don't know how seeds form. What came first, the tree or the seed? We have all these seeds on the trees, and they're all individual ones, and they're amazing. And we have all these trees with their seeds. God created these. God created the trees and the seeds, the seed yielding fruit. Trees, branches, and reproducing seeds. So lots and lots of trees, not all of them, but lots and lots of trees follow the pattern of the Fibonacci sequence in the division of their branches and stems. So we look at trees, don't we, and we can see that it's all very evenly sprouting, and that's the way God designed it. And of course there's the seeds, and we've seen that the pine cone has the Fibonacci sequence in it. And even the palm trees, the tree trunks on the palm trees have the Fibonacci sequence. It's everywhere. We look at the trees and yeah, they're just so incredible the way that they grow. And we see in the very leaves on the trees so many different types of growth, which is all in the DNA and all the information of how they grow and the colours. And to me, it's just incredible. It's just marvellous. There's the humble dandelion and the dandelion seed. Look at the beauty in that. Absolutely amazing. And when you look at the seeds, just look at the seeds. How they form on it, and then, as the plant progresses, all the seeds blow off, and they've got these very fine little, parachutes that blow in the wind. Just incredible. There's a cactus. There's many, many cactuses that have the Fibonacci sequence in. Fibonacci is in vegetables and fruit. So there's a Ramasco. I'm not sure whether they call it cauliflower or yeah. But anyway, I bought one for my tea not so long ago, and it's got the Fibonacci sequence in. It's just incredible. And if you look at many fruit, vegetables, you have the Fibonacci sequence. So there's a cabbage. You can see the Fibonacci sequence in the cabbage, the golden ratio. It's in fruit. There's the apple, that's got 5 of the Fibonacci sequence, but there's so much fruit that's got the Fibonacci sequence in. And there's, that Ramasco. Look how detailed that is. It's absolutely amazing that all the information in the DNA was able to slowly produce this as it grows. It's even in the cauliflower. If you look at the center there, you can see all the spirals going out from the center of the cauliflower. Amazing. It's even in strawberries. And there's kiwi fruit. Just how beautiful is that? Pineapples. It's in the pineapple. You'll notice at the beginning there was a picture of me with a pineapple stems on top of my head, because I think it's amazing that there's 8 parallel rows of scales spiraling gradually. Then there's 13 parallel rows of the scales spiraling at a medium slope. And then we've got 21 parallel rows of scales spiraling at a steep slope. This can't happen by chance. It's designed. So there's the beautiful peacock. There's a lot of varieties of peacock. But look at those feathers. Those feathers are towards the top by its neck, and they have the Fibonacci sequence in. And they're absolutely beautiful, aren't they? And, with them we get down to the large feathers of its tail, and it's just absolutely amazing that this color and pattern is in the peacock. And it's when it opens its tail, it's wonderful. Feathers are amazing. The colors that we get in all birds' feathers. I mean, not necessarily in the Fibonacci sequence. I just think that the colors of feathers and the design of feathers is absolutely amazing. They haven't evolved. They've been designed. We even, so many different varieties of peacock, and it's just incredible. All these the beauty of them is just stupendous. The egg. It's got the golden ratio in the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. And it's so geometrical. There's no way that this just happened by chance. And we have eggs all over the world from all the birds, and they're all exactly the same. Some are slightly more oblong than others, more oval, but they're all got the Fibonacci golden ratio in. Look at the colours on that. With so many beautiful birds and mammals and reptiles that have so many beautiful colours. How do these colours evolve by chance? They can't. It's designed. Beautiful. Body plans in the Fibonacci sequence. So you can see there the Fibonacci sequence in a moth, and then a dolphin. We see it in insects. Many insects and mammals have these body plans. It's in fishes. It's even in the faces of many animals. Now, thinking about moths, that's another moth there that's got the Fibonacci sequence in its body plan. And if you look at any of the moths or butterflies, the design in them is just so incredible. I mean, look at those orange rows there, and then the 2 blue rows. How can that happen by chance? And there's that butterfly. It's actually sitting on a Fibonacci plant. And we see all these amazing colours, don't we, in butterflies and moths. And I often say to people, have you ever seen an ugly butterfly? I've never had an answer saying yes. No, they always say no, because moths, butterflies, And many of the insects and the reptiles and mammals, they were created. They were created for God's pleasure and for our pleasure. I mean, look at that one there. So there's the monarch butterfly. Again, we see all this amazing pattern in it. So it's designed. I have done a video on the monarch butterfly which explains all the incredible design features in it. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it already. So Fibonacci spirals in animals and plants. So there we see a snail, and there we see, the inside of the snail. It's just, amazing the way the shells are made. There we see an elephant's trunk. And we see lots of spirals in horns. Many, many spirals in horns. We see them in tails. That's a chameleon's tail. There's the nautilus, the living nautilus. And there's, stems on plants and in ferns. We see all these spirals in all kinds of places. Shells. There's so many different shells. I could show so many pictures, but I don't want to make this video too long. But the Fibonacci sequence is in so much. So there's just some examples of the many, many, beauty of the spirals in Fibonacci sequence. And we're only scratching the surface of all the Fibonacci sequences in so much of the life that can only be designed, which we as humans, we copy. Because there's examples, there's a staircase, there's a stained glass roof, another, I think that's a lamp, there's another staircase, and there's a floor pattern. We copy the Fibonacci sequence because it's so pleasing to the eye. And, I don't know quite what that one is, but we see the Fibonacci sequence in the beauty of things in the world. And of course, a lot of art is actually based on the Fibonacci sequence, and a lot of our structures, our designs in architecture are based on the Fibonacci sequence. So let's have a think about the human body. There's Leonardo da Vinci's famous drawing. So the Fibonacci sequence is in the face, the human face. Not everybody has got a perfect Fibonacci face, but it's basically based on the Fibonacci golden ratio. And there's an ear. Not everybody has perfect ears like that one, but it's relatively based on, the Fibonacci sequence. And it's even in the cochlea, inside the ear. The Fibonacci sequence is inside our bodies. Fibonacci sequence is in our hand. It allows it to form a perfect curl when we clench our fist. So that red, yellow, green, blue, that's the Fibonacci sequence, and it's in much of our skeletons. It's actually in our teeth. So there's, that's the golden ratio, 1.618. It's in our skeleton, 1.618. It's in the DNA in our bodies. And there's so much I could tell you about it being in our DNA, but see, don't want to make it too long, this video. All this is not by random chance. It is God's intelligent design in all creation. It's even in the fetus in the womb. Now you look at faces, we see all this symmetry in the design of our faces. Golden ratio in the human body. So there's the brain. So wherever we look in our bodies, we can see Fibonacci. So if you look at where the pineal gland is, you can see the Fibonacci sequence. And the brain and the skull is based on the Fibonacci golden ratio. It's even in the ovaries and the fallopian tubes around the womb. It's in our lungs, the way the bronchioles and go down to the alveoli. It's actually in there, the Fibonacci sequence. It's actually in our heart, in the valves of the heart. I can't go into it in detail, but it's there. It's in the arteries and veins. Many of the branches of our arteries and veins follow the Fibonacci sequence. And of course, the pulmonary circulation has so much Fibonacci branching. So we see it up above us in the galaxies. Fibonacci sequence. We see it in storms. We see it in clouds. There's another one, another galaxy, Fibonacci sequence. We see it in the oceans. We see the way waves crash upon the shore. Even the way a girl can flick her hair, it's actually there. That's, the laws of the physics of our world have the Fibonacci sequence in. It's even in whirlpools. The Fibonacci sequence is even in music. The musical scales and Fibonacci. The golden ratio is in many instruments. It's in violins, cellos, guitars.
Mozart incorporated the Fibonacci sequence in his music. Mozart's father, a mathematician, introduced him to the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical pattern that can be found in nature and music. Mozart used this pattern to determine the length of phrases and movements in his music, as well as the melodies and harmonies. This gave his music a sense of order and symmetry, and made it more pleasing to the ear. The next time you listen to Mozart, try to listen for the Fibonacci sequence.
You can check out on YouTube the Fibonacci brothers. They do a lot of music which has the Fibonacci sequence in, because when you put the Fibonacci sequence into music, it is more enjoyable, more perfect. It's lovely music using the Fibonacci sequence. And I can recognize the Fibonacci sequence now in music. And you can also check out on YouTube Fibonacci with the Kanakoil rhythms and the Fibonacci sequence. It's on YouTube. So much good music based on the Fibonacci sequence.
Evolutionists cannot explain how the Fibonacci spiral and numbers in the Fibonacci sequence are found virtually everywhere and in everything. In a chance universe, why would nature obey mathematical patterns? And how can nature obey something that is merely a product of human thought? For Christians, the answer is easy: nature is mathematical because it stems from the mind of God. The Fibonacci sequence occurs both in maths, which is abstract, not made of atoms, and the physical world, which is made of atoms, because they have the same designer.
All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. So in Romans chapter 1, in the Amplified Bible Classic Edition, at verse 20 it reads, "For ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature and attributes, that is, his eternal power and divinity, have been made intelligible and clearly discernible in and through the things that have been made, his handiworks." So his invisible nature and attributes, what are those? Well, invisible nature and attributes could be gravity. We know it's there, and we know that without it, life would be difficult. We can see it, well, we don't see it. It's in, the air we breathe. We know it's got oxygen in, which we need, 20% oxygen, nitrogen. We can't see it, but it's there. We can see it in ultraviolet light that comes from solar energy. We can't see ultraviolet light, but we know it's there, and it's, it gives us vitamin D, doesn't it? And so there's lots of things we can not see, but we know are there. But the biggest one of all for me is DNA. So for many, many years, we couldn't see DNA. We didn't know anything about it. It was only in 1953 that Watson and Crick came across DNA. And now we can look at it through microscopes, electron microscopes. So we do know about DNA now. And that is what has created all the life on this planet, the incredible complexity in the DNA. That's what we see all these creatures are made from, and I think it's absolutely amazing. And if you investigate DNA, there's one of my videos, you can check on DNA, and it shows you the complexity of the 4 dimensions in DNA. Now verse 20 continues, it says, so men are without excuse, altogether without any defense or justification. You only have to look around at the world and see all the wonderful design in all the creatures and the humans and all the plants and the flowers and the petals. It's all been designed, created by God. So we can look around us and we can see all the beauty on this earth, all the wonderful creatures. And we don't see any ugly ones, do we? You know, they're all absolutely beautiful and amazing. So many of them, so many different varieties of creatures that we see, and all the amazing colours. It's just incredible to me. And I want to thank God for all this, because I know without Him I wouldn't exist, and I can enjoy all the beauty of this earth. And you know, if you think about it, it's all produced by the DNA. Now, I did a video on DNA which explains just how complex the four-dimensional code is, and it's worth checking out if you don't understand, how complex it is. Because there's Bill Gates, he says DNA is like a computer program, but far, far more advanced than any software ever created. Far, far more advanced than any software ever created by man. It's worth checking out if you want to really understand how DNA could not have evolved. Everything on this earth has been designed, created, and it gets reproduced by the DNA. So thanks for watching, and I'll say bye for now.